What is up, guys? Michael here, bringing you another video today. Today we are back after a long hiatus. One of many that I'd say I'd return from sooner. One of many that I said that this show would be back sooner. But here we are now, finally. It's a new year. We haven't posted a single video this year, so this is our first. And what better way to start it than with an episode of Chu On This, a new season perhaps of Chu On This. We got a good buddy of mine, one of the best in the business, one of the kindest, most genuine guys, and a guy with immaculate taste. His name is Bryan Sudfield. What's up, Bryan? How you doing, man?
Mike, I appreciate that so much. I really appreciate that. I'm so excited to be on here. Thank you for having me, man.
I'm glad, my man. I'm glad. How are you doing? How's life? How's this quarantine been for you? How's this past year been for you?
Oh my God, where do I even start? Well, I mean, I can tell you right now that things are a lot different here where I am than where you are.
Yep,
We're
absolutely.
literally across the country from one another. You're
Yep.
you're in Cali, I'm in Jersey, so we're right across the
Yep.
continent. Yeah, I mean, the last year, I mean, it's been a shit show for everybody. I
Mm.
mean, there's no way that anyone has had a perfect 2020, and luckily still alive, still hanging in there. So
God bless.
God bless indeed. Hashtag
Yep.
bless. But
There it is.
um, uh, yeah, I mean, in the last year, I mean, a lot of stuff has happened. I graduated from college, and unfortunately, I didn't get to celebrate it the way that I wanted to.
Which I'm sorry about, but also congratulations, my friend.
Well, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I mean, graduating college was pretty exciting. No more school, no more homework. It's a very nice thing. At the same time, though, graduating in the middle of a pandemic was not fucking fun whatsoever. It
I
sucked.
can't even begin to
It
imagine
was
that.
it was awful, and I'm fortunate enough that we did get to have a graduation halfway through the summer. I was very happy that we got
Awesome.
to do that. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely the biggest upset that happened in 2020 for me. I mean, a lot of ups and downs for sure, relationships, mental health, anxiety, depression, all over
Of
the
course,
place.
man.
Searching for jobs, still looking as we speak, with my college degree. Gotta use it at some point in my life. But in the long run, I mean, I bought a new car.
Which
That
is
was
also a
definitely,
big step.
yeah,
Congratulations, my friend.
huge step. Thank you. First thing that I've done that's adulting, basically. I bought a brand new car, and
Mm.
when Mike saw it, he's like, "Oh my God.
I
Oh,
literally
wow."
lost my mind, people. You should have
He
seen me.
he pissed his pants. He sent me a picture of his pants all wet
And they're just
after
absolutely
he
soaked,
saw
and I
that.
just said, "This is the moment, man. Brian's all grown up now. I can't handle this."
Oh, this is my moment.
This is the
Oh.
moment. And there it was, Brian with his brand new whip and me with wet pants.
Oh my God. Yeah, buying a new car was pretty great. Yeah, watching a lot of movies. I got back into podcasting myself in 2020. Started the show called Film Fragments, which Mike was actually on.
Which is a
early on in
phenomenal
the show.
time, bro. Amazing
Yes.
time.
Absolutely. You did a killer job when you came on. We talked about a guy whose name was also Mike, very ironically.
It just worked out
And
brilliantly, honestly.
It
Yeah.
did. The timing was perfect. It wasn't a weird coincidence. It just worked out beautifully.
Sometimes it just
And
does.
yeah, absolutely. And otherwise, I mean, just hanging in there, trying to make the best of things and everything.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of new movies in 2020 that I hadn't seen before ever, but I didn't really watch a lot of 2020 releases until much later on in the year. And I mean,
Same
yeah,
here.
I mean, 2020, what a year. 2021, I mean, the way it started so far is very fascinating. I mean, when we're recording
Yeah.
this, yesterday was definitely a day that could be hopeful for sure. I mean, we don't know
Yes.
what's going to happen
Yes.
throughout the next couple of years and everything, but we're hoping that
We are
2021
crossing our fingers for these next 4 years, people in the US.
huge crossing figures. Like we need a good next 4 years, but we need to
Please.
get through 2021 first, because we're hoping that by the end of 2021 we're back to where we were when 2020 started. So
And it did.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, and in my opinion, that 2020 started out actually kind of delightful. Like the first couple days, first couple
it
weeks
did.
was nice. Yeah. And
Oh,
then it just went to
absolutely.
hell in a handbasket.
Yeah,
real
and
fast.
it all happened on my birthday. My birthday's when everything happened. They
What
were
day?
like,
What day is that, my friend?
March 12th, baby.
Brutal.
March
Absolutely
12th,
brutal.
March 12th, 2020. I wake up, and 2 days before, they're like, "Oh, school's online for the rest of the year." And I'm like, "All right, whatever. That's fine with me, because But then they're like, oh, sports postponed, movies delayed, theater closed, everything done. And I'm like, well, shit.
And you will never
Happy
have happiness
fucking birthday
again.
to me.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so sorry, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm
2020 was
coming up
just too wild.
yeah, now I'm coming up to the age where, according to Blink 182, nobody likes you when you're that age. I'm about to be 23, guys, and
This is the
according to
moment
them,
again.
and they know correctly that nobody does like you when you're 23. So I have 2 more months until I turn 23.
And Bryan and I have 2 more months of friendship before it's over.
It's
That's why we had to
done.
do
It's
this podcast now.
You gotta make the best of it right now before it's over.
Yeah, this is the moment. This is the moment, and here we are, man. It's so good to be back with you. It's so good. First of all,
Absolutely.
it's good to see a friendly face, especially in these times like we're talking about. And guys, I haven't seen you guys and talked to this audience in a while too. So hello. I am glad to be doing this. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad. I hope you guys, for the most part, have had a good year, a safe year, a healthy year. That's all we can hope for, and an even healthier 2021. So everyone that's been affected by this pandemic this past year, we're sorry about it. It sucks for all of us, and we're just trying to hang in there. So please do your part, wear your mask, and we can get back to living again,
Absolutely.
And that's that. But now we can get into, the meat and potato of this. We're here to talk about movies, man. This is Chu On This. It's time to learn about our guest today, Bryan Sudfield. So Bryan, man, I just like to always start off with talking about what's the last movie you've seen, my friend.
Oh, this is going to be quite a joyous movie to talk about.
Here we go.
I saw a 2020 release, which, funny enough, was the film that was considered to be the first one to open when theaters reopened. No, it's not Tenet. No, it's not New Mutants. It's Unhinged, boys and girls.
Oh, baby. We got Russell Crowe behind the wheel.
Russell Crowe expressing heavy, severe road rage with a funny accent and everything. Oh, what a delight.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the chance of seeing this one yet, and I've heard very mixed things, polarizing things. In fact, I've heard some people say that this is, one of the funniest popcorn flicks just to enjoy it and just turn your brain off and just watch Russell Crowe act his butt off being a fool. I've heard other people, say that this is absolutely unbearable and not fun at all. It's dark and it's not funny. There's nothing good to be had from it. So what are your thoughts, man? Tell me about this film.
Yeah, what a massive piece of shit. Holy crap. Listen, I love Russell Crowe as much as the next guy, and he did look like he was having the time of his life during this movie, which is great and everything.
Yeah.
But, after a while, when you watch it, you're kind of thinking to yourself, what's the whole point of this even existing? There are plenty of great thrillers set in the course of one day, and this was just not one of them. Listen, an amount of violence, an excessive amount of violence doesn't bother me whatsoever. I could watch many movies where the violence is like happening every second. But if I'm going to be completely frank with everybody, this was just way too much in the worst possible way. And, the story dragged and it was super predictable. And yeah, there were some moments that made me go, oh my God, holy shit. But there wasn't enough to get me excited. Like, a lot of people have been calling this like a fun, guilty pleasure sort of film, but it didn't even do that for me. And I knew right away that this wasn't going to be a masterpiece or anything.
Yeah, honestly.
But I was low key hoping that I would get some enjoyment out of this. Be like, oh, you know what, that was pretty bad, but I enjoyed watching it. This was just bad that I was dreading watching it. Now I told Mike off camera that I had a story.
I want to hear
expressing this. So I right now work in a liquor store, and it's the most eventful job in the world, especially during COVID. The alcoholics, they love their liquor and everything. So 2 days ago, we had our inventory. We had the store closed for the whole day. Everyone was looking through everything to make sure the items were the right amount and everything. I was assigned door duty. So I was in my own little cubicle. If anyone came up, I had to say, sorry, we're closed, go away, scram, scat, fuck off, whatever. And because I was allowed to listen to music and watch whatever I wanted, I had rented Unhinged a while back, but I completely forgot that I had done that. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take the time to watch this. It's only an hour and a half.
Just a nice little casual flick,
Yeah, a nice casual flick and everything. And about 10 minutes in, I was like, let's see where this goes. I know where this is going to go, but let's see how it plays out for Bryan. And as the movie progressed, and things started happening, and everyone started dying, and there was a lot of car accidents and
Uh,
severe road rage and everything. And we've all experienced road rage in the worst
oh,
possible way.
absolutely.
I mean, I could safely say that when you drive in New Jersey, it's awful, but I can't imagine for Mike, since he lives
Oh
right outside
man.
LA. It's,
Getting into LA, getting out of LA, it's
oh
all
my God.
horrible.
Oh my God. It must be a riot for sure.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, this movie just really didn't do anything to win me over. And again, I love Russell Crowe. I really, really love the guy. He's a great
Mhm.
actor and everything. I mean, he's got, cut down on the food. He's got to have a salad. He's got to get back into that gladiator shape, because now he looks like what he looked like in Body of Lies. He was so fat and
Body of
everything. It's
Lies.
ridiculous. But I made a comment on Letterboxd. This was my Letterboxd review. I said, this is the aftermath of Russell Crowe getting criticized for saying so poorly in Les Miserables. This is the aftermath of what happened.
This is his vengeance against the world.
Exactly. I sing great.
He is nipping everything in the bud right now. That is the end of the line.
You nominate Hugh Jackman for an Oscar. I am the Oscar.
Man, it's crazy to see like this fluctuation of stars of like Russell Crowe's caliber like venture into that kind of like B movie genre, and because they just like to have fun making a movie, they're just like, this is the time, I guess, in my career where I could just make funny guilty pleasure movies, I guess.
Oh, definitely. And I would love to just talk to someone who actually went out to the theater to go see this, because like, this is not even a movie that I would have. I mean, if COVID hadn't happened, would I have seen this in theaters? Maybe, probably. But because COVID had happened, I'm like, I don't want this to be the first movie I see back in theaters. There's no way I'm allowing this to be the one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, people could have fun with it. People could be entertained by it. Russell Crowe, he chews up the scenery. He looks like he's having the time of his life making this film. But in the long run, it was too cliche. It was too brutally violent, and not even in a good way. It was generic, boring, bland, stupid.
This sounds like exactly the kind of movie I want to avoid at all costs.
I was about to say, I thought you were going to say this is the kind of movie that I absolutely 100% want to watch.
Oh no, it could never be. I remember
man.
seeing the trailer for it and thinking this could be fun, but now that you're telling me that even like, let's just say the brutality of it is not exactly, even tasteful, it's just, violent for the sake of being violent, we have so few time with so much stuff on streaming, which we'll get into as well. It's hard to pick and choose, what we want to watch. And
it is
with movies like this coming out, it's like, I'd rather not if it's not gonna be in the theater.
Yeah, it was just, again, I mean, if you're into this kind of movie, I mean, sure, maybe you can have some fun with it. It is very short. It does fly by and everything. It's not a long movie whatsoever. It's only 90 minutes, which is the perfect runtime for a movie like this. So I'm glad they got that right. But yeah, Russell Crowe, I mean, even if you're a Russell Crowe fan, sure, watch him in this. He does play bad really well. He does.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's always good. I like him a lot. And yeah, not a fan of Unhinged. It left me feeling unhinged. So,
I was just gonna say, is that the title for your life after walking out of that film?
Absolutely. Yeah, here I am in a little cubicle at a liquor store watching this movie on my phone.
And you're still stuck in that moment forever in a loop.
I was, and I could have watched anything else, but I chose Unhinged instead.
Sometimes you just have to take the L and just watch something that you're not super hyped for. I mean, not to go off on 2020 movies too early on in this, but I watched She Dies Tomorrow within the past couple weeks just because, dude, man, let me say something right now about that movie. That's probably my least favorite movie of 2020.
That movie sucked.
I could not stand it.
That movie also wasn't good.
Like, yeah, it's like I mean, on concept alone, it sounds interesting. Same like Unhinged, like Russell Crowe behind a car, road rage. It sounds fun. She Dies Tomorrow in concept sounds like a fun thing, and because it was on streaming, it was short. I had time to kill. I decided to watch it, and man, that's another one of those movies where just by the end of it, I was just, this is a little much. It's just a slow death.
Yeah, I was out about like 30 minutes into the movie, but I just kept going, and it just really bored me to tears.
Yeah, that's the kind of movie that just grinded my gears and bored me to tears in every single way, and then left me feeling like, wow, I couldn't even comprehend what I just saw to any extent of enjoyment. So that was my least favorite movie of 2020. But on a more positive note, why we're here today is talking about our love for film. So we gotta move away from talking about these terrible dumpster fire films, these garbage pail films. I gotta ask you, Brad, what started the love for film? Do you remember? Was it a movie? Was it an age range, a series of movies? What did it for you?
Oh man, it's funny because when I was younger, when I was a kid, I always went to the movies with my family, and I would see all these, subpar to sometimes really excellent family films, these blockbusters and everything. Like, I can't remember the specific year where I got into film. I think I've always been into film my whole life. My parents like to joke around with everybody and say the first words I ever said were DVD, and I'm like, all right, sure. I doubt that that's what I said first, but okay,
What an
I'll
iconic
take
story
it.
that is to tell, though.
Uh,
That's
I'll
awesome.
take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, if I ever meet my future wife, my dad's like, the first words my boy ever said
You
was DVD. And I'm
gotta
like,
flex
thank you,
it.
father.
You
I'm
have
like,
to
thank you,
flex it.
father. um, no, I mean, I just loved watching films growing up. I can't really think of the specific film that made me realize that I love film, but I could tell you that I think it was 2010 where I started really paying attention to how films were made and everything, because that's the year where I started watching like R-rated movies. I was
Okay.
allowed to watch them and everything, and then I would go see all the Oscar movies and everything. I think it might have been when I saw The Social Network maybe in theaters, and
Amazing.
I saw it. Yeah, it's incredible, one of the best films ever in my opinion. But
Agreed.
um, I remember watching it on the big screen, and I was 12 at the time, so like I didn't know everything about filmmaking and everything, but I remember just watching that opening in the bar with Mark and Erica, and
Yep.
just seeing the editing and the directing
Whew.
and the sound design and the acting. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, wow, I want to know how to make these films. And then the scene that really made me realize, oh yeah, I want to do something with film in my life. I want to pay attention to film, was the rowing competition scene.
Oh,
That sequence,
amazing. Amazing sequence.
combined with everything, the directing, the music especially, Trent and Agus, they're
Uh,
genius. They're geniuses. They're incredible.
yeah.
The editing, everything, just like worked out so well. And I remember when the movie was done. That movie's just like 2 hours long. Flew
Hmm.
by so quickly. And I remember when the movie was done, I'm like, wait a minute, that's it? I thought it just started like an hour ago. I was like, wow, now that's a film right there. That's a
Absolutely.
filmmaker. And then after that, I started paying attention to film, and I started progressing my love for film and everything. Like, I just watched all these movies and everything. And then as I got older, my love increased, obviously, because there were so many films I checked out since then. I mean, I'm still checking out a whole bunch of films that I haven't seen. Like, my list of favorite films of all time changes at least like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes. Yeah. Me too,
um,
man. All
I
the
mean, my
time.
top my top five stays the same. My top five hasn't changed in probably about 5 years, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, film is my favorite thing in the world, and I mean, my first tattoo I ever got was a film reel tattoo, and yeah, I went to school for film, and even though I don't want to make films,
Mhm.
after college, I will always be grateful that I went to school to study film. My future career, I really just want to do something where I talk about film and everything. Film is just my favorite thing in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
I
That's
love film so much.
hey man, that's why we have you here. And same, dude. It's crazy that for both of us, and I think I talked about it a bit on your podcast actually, that it was Fincher that began that, and
Yes, yes.
a master behind the camera. I mean, and so I mean, I wish I saw Social Network that in the theater. I wish I could say the same because that experience. I mean, I can't even imagine it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really. I mean, to be fair, I really don't remember the theater experience too well of that
Mhm.
movie, but every time Fincher's had a movie come out since then, I try to see it on the big screen. I didn't see Dragon Tattoo on the big screen. Unfortunately, I missed out on that one.
Mhm.
But I saw Gone Girl in theaters. I was fortunate enough to see Mank on the big
Oh,
screen, and
nice, nice.
so yeah, I mean, And people were like, why would you watch this in theaters if it's going to be on Netflix? And I'm like, well, it's David Fincher, and it was my most anticipated film of 2020. So,
Oh, really?
I'm
Okay.
going to go support. I'm going to go
Oh yeah,
support the
that's the
filmmaker.
boy. That's the boy, man. Especially
And
if
I'm
you're
gonna,
saying, that's the guy that put the love in your heart. That's the guy that lit the
absolutely.
fire.
Absolutely. I mean, like, I know that there were probably some Spielberg films I saw that got me inspired. Spielberg is my favorite filmmaker, but Fincher is
Okay.
one of them for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's how my love for film started and everything.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. And you touched on it a bit when you're talking about your schooling and your plans post college and what you want to do with film. Is the ultimate goal to continue reviewing movies, just talking about film in a journalistic standpoint, or?
Yeah, that's really what I've wanted to do.
Okay.
Like, I realized halfway through college, because I did stuff with the college radio station. I was their entertainment reporter for a few years. I was an entertainment writer for the school paper and everything. Yeah. So really talking about film has always been my favorite thing. And I would love to continue that in a journalistic form, whether it be through video, writing, audio. But, these companies are like, well, you're a film major, so pass. And I'm
Which
like,
is
damn.
insane. Which is insane, but it's also why, oftentimes there's such a discrepancy between, how a guy like you or me may feel versus, someone that may be Rotten Tomatoes certified or whatnot, or, is an
Exactly.
actual journalist that, may not appreciate the same things that we do. So yeah, that's tough, man. But I mean, I will say this, and this is completely honest, and I could say this on air, off air, because I mean it. You, my friend, I believe in you, and I believe that you have a voice that is unique, and you have, and I know that you're saying that you don't necessarily want to get into the filmmaking aspect of it, but the way you describe film and the way that you talk about it shows that you have a very clear understanding of how things are, what goes into it, the effort, the technical side of it, and everything like that. So man, I hope, it would be an honor to see that continue and grow.
I appreciate that. Seriously, I appreciate that, because listen, no disrespect to the people that do this for a living, and a lot of them are very talented, and
the majority, I would say, are
stuff.
like 90 to 95% of them are. Yeah, I would agree.
Absolutely, but there are definitely like some that don't know the ins and outs because they didn't go to school for film. They didn't study film. They studied journalism or communications or English, and they may have taken a film class or two, but that was my major. So like, I learned the ins and outs of what goes into making a film, what happens in front of the camera, behind the camera. I made short films throughout college. So like, these journalists, I bet you they never made a single short film. So, no disrespect, but
hey, no shade, but hey, my boy's got a couple short films under his belt that you should check out. Is that something that still interests you, that you would like to do more of in the future?
I mean, not particularly. I never really liked writing scripts. That was always my least favorite thing to do. But I did, when I was directing, I did enjoy it a lot. It felt cool doing it because I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this. And the fact that I got to do it for 4 years and direct 4 short films, I was so honored and so blessed to do that. And, I'm proud that I got to do that. I'm proud of the team that I worked with, like the variety of people that I worked with on all these different films, helping them with their films and everything. It was a great thing to do. I'm very grateful that I got to go to school and study filmmaking. Could the major have been better? Sure. But in the long run, though, I'm very grateful that I got to do this major and make friends with all these people and everything. Because the cool thing with the film department was that it wasn't super big in terms of its major. There was probably about 30 to 40 people per class.
Okay.
So which was good because you could go for a major like maybe like psychology and there's like 200 people studying it, but if you study something like film or theater, really anything in the arts, it's usually like pretty small compared to other majors, which is great. Because you don't want something that's super overstuffed because then you're not going to know everyone's name. But when you're in the small major, you're like, oh, I know that guy, I know that girl. I don't know everybody, but I know enough people to be like, oh, I know them and him and her and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And that's where, the connections and the communication that builds, what we enjoy about film too is, talking to people about it, and sharing our favorite films, learning about other people's favorite films. So I can imagine that experience is extremely fun and enlightening too.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So going back now, because I believe that you started your YouTube channel in high school, correct? You were in high school when you
I was. I was a freshman in high school when I started.
Same here, which is crazy. And what made you take that leap into wanting to try it out initially? Could you point to maybe role models, or was it just something that you just wanted to dive into? You just wanted to share your thoughts of it, or just to build communication up and talk to others about film?
I mean, it's basically a lot of the things that you brought up.
Mhm.
So like when I had started doing it around that time, I found all these YouTube movie reviewers. I found, at the time, the top people, Jeremy Johns, Schmozno, Chris Stuckman,
Who we
all
all
these
grew
other
up on.
people.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
we all grew up on them because I was always under the impression that the go-to movie reviewers were the people that wrote, like a Richard Roper or an A.O. Scott or like
Oh,
other
yeah.
people like in that vein. But when I randomly saw this YouTuber, I think it might have been the Schmoes. I think that's who I first came across.
Mhm.
And it was a review for, I don't even remember, some movie with Mark Wahlberg. Broken City.
Oh,
Ironically with
Broken
Russell
City.
Crowe. Ironically with Russell Crowe.
Back to the Russell Crowe callback. I love it.
Yeah. Another chubby Russell Crowe villainous performance.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I came across them and I'm like, oh, I like these guys. And then Jeremy Johns came up in my feed, Chris Stuckman, Pretty Much It, who I adored so
Oh,
much.
pretty much it, man.
I loved Pretty Much It, and that's
Yep.
pretty much it. I love them so much. Yeah, I came across all these people and I'm like, you know what? Let me try it and everything. And at
Mhm.
that point, YouTube movie reviewing wasn't a super big thing.
No, not at all. Not like it is now.
Oh, now it's like everyone's trying it out and everything.
Mhm.
So now it's becoming very oversaturated. But yeah, I started it and it took me a while to get very comfortable with it because I went from recording on a laptop webcam and then I bought a DSLR and then I recorded on that for many years. And I was fairly consistent from, I would say, 2014 to 2016. Like I was really like releasing something every week and everything. Then once it came to 2017, I kind of stopped because I was in college at that point and I got so busy. And also since I didn't have a car, I didn't have the transportation to always go to the movies. I would go as much as I could.
Mhm.
So I took a break from YouTube. I was podcasting at that point too. And then I went back to YouTube briefly and then I stopped for 2 years. And then when Toy Story 4 came out and I had seen that movie, I'm like, all right, I got to talk about this movie. I got to come back to YouTube. And now was the perfect time so I could talk about the toys coming back. And then I was back for about 2 months and then I went away. And the only videos that I'm consistent with is whenever I release my best of the year video, because that's my favorite kind of video to make. Talking about my favorite films that had come out during the year and everything. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with my YouTube channel at this point. I think about it all the time. I'm like, am I going to continue it? Am I going to not continue it? Am I just going to release videos every so often? Attaching yourself to. And, doing YouTube, though, I was grateful that I got to meet a lot of wonderful film enthusiasts and everything, because when I was in high, I didn't really know a lot of people that were obsessed with film like the way that I was.
Mhm.
So it was nice meeting all these people on this online community. And, it wasn't very toxic. Film Twitter wasn't what it was back then.
This is so
like
true.
what it is now.
This is so
and,
true.
you would come across a lot of nice people. You wouldn't get bashed for really liking Marvel. You wouldn't get bashed for liking independent cinema. I mean, that's a whole different story. But let's just say that the film community, the online film community, was a lot less toxic back then.
Do you remember
now.
the days of when people would just like post their you and me did it. I remember that's how I met you. Was just posting like in like movie groups on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
right,
everyone was nice, and everyone likes each other's videos. Everyone talks to each other about
even if they didn't like the movie, they're like, oh, okay, you're film cool.
Yeah.
But now it's like everyone's toxic. They're like, oh, F Marvel. Oh, F this. Oh, F that.
Let me ask you something. Is that, because I could personally say that that's part of what deters me from making a lot of videos about, certain topics. Does that ever deter you or change the content that you're putting out, or change the desire to put out certain types of content?
Absolutely. Absolutely. With the way that everyone is now towards like certain kinds of films, it's like, if you end up liking the film, you're going to get like bashed. You're like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy doesn't watch real movies. It's
Mm-hmm.
like when Martin Scorsese called Marvel not real cinema. And, I make that joke with my friends all the time. And,
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, listen, that's not real cinema. But, like, you're allowed to have your own opinion. You're allowed
of
to like
course.
whatever you like.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be completely honest, though. I do like Marvel a lot. I've been a fan of them since, the MCU started. I grew up literally with the MCU. I was
Me too,
10
man.
when
Yeah.
Iron Man came out, and, it's still going to this day. But if you just like Marvel, if you just like superhero movies and you don't expand your horizons when it comes to movies, then I could kind of understand. I'm not going to say you're a terrible person, but
No,
expanding
honestly.
your horizons with film is definitely something needed because
Yeah.
do I like a lot of the Marvel movies? I do. There are a few that I don't particularly care for, but I'm not
Mhm.
going to bash someone if they like all of them. I mean, they need to have their reasons. Like, listen, if you like Captain Marvel, I want to know your reason right now. But no, I mean, yeah, the toxicity of the film community
Mhm.
definitely kept me from not really wanting to come back onto YouTube because it's too much after a while. Like people are just a little too toxic
Yeah.
during this time and everything. So
Yeah, and it's crazy too that and not to go too deep into this topic, but it's crazy too that like everything, it has to have a political backbone to it, from Star Wars to Marvel to, the movie The Hunt. I don't know if you ended up seeing that or not, but
I actually have not seen The Hunt, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
just
it's insane. And it's crazier too because most of the time this happens is from people that have never seen these movies. You know what I mean? It's
exactly,
it's from people that they saw a trailer and they put their own political
exactly.
ideology on, and this is on both ends too. I'm not saying one way or the other. This is on both ends that they plant their own political ideas into films and use them as you know the backbone for their talking points, which is kind of sad. Star Wars is one of the bigger ones for me too, where it's like I love Star Wars. I grew up on Star Wars. And I wouldn't say that I have loved like the new movies by any means. Definitely not. But they're movies. You know what I
No,
mean?
exactly. I agree. It is sad when people put politics when it comes to movies because these filmmakers when they make these movies, they're not even thinking about that whatsoever. They
Yeah,
just want
yeah.
they want to make a movie to entertain people and to have a good time. Yeah, say what you want about the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Yes, it was a clunker. Yes, it was a mess and everything. But to like get all political with it is a little ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah,
Same with Marvel because lately
exactly.
Marvel stands as people like to call them, MCU stands, MCU fanboys and fangirls, like the people
Mhm.
that heavily obsess over Marvel. They put a shot from Avengers Endgame and they're like, I've never seen more of a beautiful shot in my life than this shot of
Mhm.
Avengers Endgame. And I'm like, all right. Now that's just a little ridiculous.
Yeah. And it sucks too because we watch a lot of films, so we've seen more, and and we do see people post stuff like that, and I don't think, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of that stuff, but to each their own. But I think what stops the conversations and what makes people that only watch MCU or only watch DCEU movies or Star Wars, whatever, is the backlash that they get for saying that they like it. It's like once you see a bunch of let's just say film bros like the Fight Club. Sadly, I'm one of those guys. Hey, just kidding. Fight Club is one of my favorite movies, but I'm hopefully not one of these guys. But where they just like to talk down on people for not liking, quote unquote art. But film is subjective. That's why we like to talk about it, and that's hopefully what both of our shows. I want to get into your show right now. Hopefully, is promoting positive conversation and getting more people to be willing to maybe explore different types of film and not feel weird about it. So and I want to thank you for that specifically because with your show Film Fragments, you're introducing people to new types of film every episode. If you think about it, you're literally showing people to new countries with film, new directors, new actors, and it broadens the horizon. So first of all, thank you for doing that. You're doing a service. I don't know
You're
if you know
welcome.
that, but going forward, what first of all, what brought about Film Fragments? What started that idea initially?
So it was about 2 months into COVID, and I had wanted to get back into podcasting for a while,
Mhm.
and I I had done this show years ago with a wonderful fellow film geek, Chase Lee, called Top 5 Saturdays. And we would do it once a week. We would talk about like a topic in
Mhm.
honor of a movie that had come out that weekend. We would do like top 5 films from an actor, director, genre, and everything. And I had wanted to go back into that. Me and Chase kind of like took a long break, which ended up being like the end for the show because we both just got super busy with our lives.
It happens.
I
Yeah.
was in school, Chase had his own personal life, and but we always keep in touch and everything. But I had wanted to kind of go back and do a show like that again. And I figured during COVID, I'm like, well, I'm not really doing anything except for sitting on my ass. So let's start up this podcast again.
Mhm.
And, at first, like, it was a weekly show. And I remember taking like a little break, and then it was weekly again. And right now it's bi-weekly and pretty much whenever it could happen. Right now it's on hiatus. I
Mhm.
started the show just simply because like I just really wanted to talk about favorite films from like an actor, director, or genre with somebody. So it was really nice that I always managed to get a guest for the episodes and they could talk to me about what their favorites are in their catalog. And I would specifically, when I reached out to guests, I would ask them specifically, what topics in film are you passionate about? Like,
Mhm.
what is an actor that you know so much about? What's a director who you heavily idolize? What's a genre you might be super knowledgeable with? Because I wouldn't want to have anyone come on and talk about a topic that they're really not well versed in. So when
Yeah.
I had you come on and I asked you, like, what topics you like, you said, oh, I really like Michael Fassbender.
Love
I've
him.
seen a lot of his films and everything. I'm
Absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
oh, perfect. I'm like, that's great. He's a great actor, so that's a great topic to talk about.
Mhm.
And with Film Fragments, certain episodes that I had done, I did a lot of first time watches. Like I would watch a lot of these films that I hadn't really seen before.
Yeah.
When I did the Hayao Miyazaki episode, I had seen a few of his films, but there were a lot that I hadn't seen up until that point. So I
Mhm.
was really happy that who knows what would have happened if I never decided to do this show or if I never
Yeah.
decided to do an episode on Hayao Miyazaki. Would I have even watched the films of his that I haven't seen? I'm sure I would have at some point, but I'm glad that I did when I did because
Mhm.
then I would go through all these other topics, all these other filmmakers and everything, and I would rewatch a lot of their films, watch films of theirs that I hadn't seen in a long time, and it could change my opinion. Either I like the film more, or I like it less, or I stay at the same. And it's a really fun show to do. It's very time consuming, I will admit, because I would go to work, then I would come home and I would just watch movies. Like I wouldn't even devote any time to
Mhm.
other movies that I really wanted to watch because I would solely focus on these movies for the show. But that's how it came to be. I just figured why not get back into podcasting? And it was something that I figure I should do because when you do a film podcast, there's so many different kinds of ways to go with it. But doing a top 5 show where you bring on someone to talk about your favorite films from a certain genre or actor or
Yeah.
director, it was really, really exciting. And all the topics that I had done, I was really, really happy with. And it helped expand my horizons and everything. It was just really fun to do overall.
Yeah, I mean, and I could tell how much fun you have doing it because I've listened to the majority of the episodes from the beginning, and I mean, you have a good chemistry and a good rapport with almost everyone that you've come across on there. I'm assuming, right? I mean, you haven't had a
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
experience as far
Oh
as I
no,
know.
no. Oh no. Not
Yeah,
one bad experience for sure.
yeah, and it shows,
Actually,
and
no, I did have one bad experience. It was with you. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, hey man,
Okay. Hey, Matt. Hey, Matt.
hey man, no, but that was and this is the truth as well. That was one of the most fun experiences I've had on a podcast because we just got to just talk up good movies for like, an hour and a half. And that's
Oh,
always a
absolutely.
joy, man.
Absolutely. And the passion that you had when talking about Fassbender, like
Oh,
that's the kind of
dude.
passion that I like to see in the guests that I bring on because
That guy's my
it's,
man.
it's,
That is my man,
he
dude.
like listen, he's Irish, he's Ireland's ass, as I said on the show. Like
It's
Chris
true.
Evans is America's ass, and Hugh Jackman is Australia's ass, and Michael Fassbender is Ireland's ass
And
/ Germany's ass.
my favorite one
Oh yeah,
across the nation.
he does have a fine ass. I will admit that.
He's a beautiful human being, bro. Just
he
beautiful.
he really is a beautiful human being.
Before we continue to wet our pants, now we're going to do another callback. As we continue to wet our pants over Fassbender, back to Film Fragments here. What are some of the difficulties you've had hosting? I mean, you briefly mentioned that it's obviously sometimes tough to just be like, I'm only going to watch Scorsese movies this next 2 weeks of my life, or only going to watch, certain types of movies. So would you say that's been the biggest difficulty, or what else have you faced or encountered
It
as becoming a host again?
well, it because like there's so many movies from certain actors and directors. I know that I won't get around to watching all of them, and
Mhm.
I try to watch a lot of them. There are some that I rewatch because I hadn't seen them in forever, and I want to make sure that my opinion still stands
Absolutely. Yeah.
still. But yeah, that's definitely the tragedy when it comes to certain episodes that I do. Like if I do an episode on a director, like I did one on Wes Anderson, and Wes Anderson only has, I believe, 9 films. So that wasn't too tough of a marathon to go through. And
Mhm.
also a lot of his movies are under 2 hours long. So like when it comes to like say I do an episode on Scorsese, that's gonna be tough because I've seen a lot of his movies. There are
Yeah.
a lot of his that I still haven't seen, unfortunately. But a lot of his movies are over the 2 hour mark, and
Way
it's
over.
it's it's way over
Yeah.
exactly. And not that that's a problem. I mean, it
Yeah.
could be to some. To me, it's not. But well, depends on if the movie's good or not. But yeah, that's
Mhm.
really the biggest con with Film Fragments is that because of also like since I work and I don't have as much free time as I
Yeah, man.
used to, it's hard to keep track because I really liked when I did this show weekly. That's when I had more time to watch movies and everything. But at the same
Mhm.
time, doing that, it kind of took me away from like my personal life because I was so focused on this show to make it the best it could possibly be. And I still love doing it. And I hope I could bring it back soon. Right now, I just have other priorities to focus on. Like Film
Mhm.
Fragments will come back when I'm ready to come back to it, but it's not going anywhere. It's not dead. I wouldn't just leave it dead without announcing it and
Of
everything.
course.
But yeah, it's just the time consuming
Yeah,
factor
man.
that goes into it. Like certain podcasts, like when I did a podcast in high school, it was just about, the weekly news, the weekly trailers, and then me and my friend we would talk about the new releases in theaters. And that wouldn't be as time consuming. So but yeah, Film Fragments is definitely a big time consumer, and I love doing it. Believe me, I enjoy doing it very much, and I love talking about films with all these people that come on. And yeah, I mean, mostly pros with Film Fragments, very
Yeah,
little
of
cons.
course. Of course. I was just about to ask, what's been your favorite experience with it? Whether it's been learning about a certain filmmaker or an actor, or like an episode that you could point to that you had the most fun doing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my favorite episode that I had done was it was back to back. There was a it was a Robin Williams episode followed by Richard Linklater, or it might have been
Yeah.
vice versa. I don't remember the order, but regardless, because my guests on those episodes, again, every guest that I've had on has been very passionate about the topics that they talk about, which is a
Mhm.
blessing. Um, but when it comes to those episodes specifically, those two people were so personal to the guests that when my guest for Richard Linklater, Amanda, she brought up Boyhood as her favorite Linklater film, and she explained why. And she talked about how it was very personal to her. She's a mother of her own, and yeah, it really got to me just hearing her kind of like be so moved and kind of break down talking about why Boyhood means the world to her and how it's
Mhm.
special to her and her son. And that really got to me a lot. That really moved me, like seeing that kind of love and respect for a film,
Yeah.
like on the air, like really got to me. That's the kind of thing that makes me so happy about Film
Yeah, man.
Fragments because I've had people come on talking about these particular topics, and their number one of said topic ends up being maybe their favorite film ever made.
Yeah.
I did a Hayao Miyazaki episode, and one of my guests on that was a Chu guest episode.
Mhm.
One of them had Spirited Away, and they had said that is their favorite film ever made,
Mhm.
and just seeing the passion spoken about it just
Yeah.
really really moved me a lot as a fan of film and as someone who went to school for film and as the host of the show. It really really moved me a lot. So like when I would talk about my favorite films from these topics, it would move me too. And that's just the best thing. Like just seeing the passion and the love and enthusiasm that my guests would have for their topic. Again, like when you talked about Fassbender and seeing your love, and when you brought up your number one and everything, and why that was to you your favorite film with him, like that just shows like, you know, the love you have for film, the love you have for the topic. And it's just, that's what I really want. That's why I wanted to do the show, so I could see the love and enthusiasm and respect that everyone has for film. And I'm so glad that I've done it. And that's been my favorite aspect of, you know, doing the show and everything, seeing the people's love for the films that they talk about and everything.
Yeah, man. And like I said, it's you could tell. And I have talked to two of the other guests. They're actually the guests from your Hayao Miyazaki episode, who are mutual friends of ours. And everyone I've talked to, they love it. It's always fun. Everyone says it's the best, and it absolutely is. So if Bryan invites you on this year, you go, and that's the bottom line. So going back to this past year, through, I mean, I'm assuming through Film Fragments itself, you were able to discover so many new movies, and, you know, or rediscover many new movies that maybe you've seen in your youth that increase in how much you've liked them or cared for them. Are there any films that stand out to you that you maybe that are older that you just recently discovered from last year that you went, wow, that was something that's one of my new favorites, or anything like that?
Yeah. My Neighbor Totoro has become one of my favorite
awesome.
animated films ever made. And that's my favorite Miyazaki film, which I know is probably maybe a controversial opinion because, you know, Spirited Away is a masterpiece, and it is a masterpiece. A lot of Miyazaki films, I watched a whole bunch of them. The Wind Rises I watched for the first time last year, and that's also becoming one of my favorite anime films ever made. In terms of other first time watches that I did that I really just flat out loved from 2020 that weren't 2020 releases. I'm going through my letterbox right now, and
by all means, and you're gonna want to keep that up because we're gonna go back to that later, my friend.
Yes. I mean, let's think about it this way. I watched Dog Day Afternoon for the first time last year, not related to Film Fragments. This was just a watch that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I absolutely adored it. I mean, everyone said that it's one of the best, and it really is absolutely phenomenal. Matchstick Men. This is a Ridley Scott film starring Nicolas Cage. Honestly, one of Ridley Scott's most underrated films, without a doubt. It's a film that doesn't really get talked about. When you think of Ridley Scott, you think of Alien, Blade Runner, The Martian, but you never think of Matchstick Men. And it has an incredible, like flat out incredible performance from Nicolas Cage. Yes, a Nicolas Cage performance that makes you laugh. He has severe OCD. There's a sequence where he goes into a pharmacy and just loses his shit. And it's incredible. It's fantastic. You know, I never thought that I would laugh my butt off when I heard someone yell the words piss blood. I thought it was incredible.
Blood! He goes for
piss
it.
Blood!
He goes for it. And you know what's funny is that movie, dude, it's like, I can't believe Ridley Scott made that still. Like,
I know.
It is insane that Ridley Scott made that movie.
You watch it and you wouldn't think that Ridley Scott would make a movie like that. Now, Ridley Scott has tackled different kinds of films, which makes him a very versatile filmmaker, which I love to death. But yeah, that's definitely one of the least Ridley Scott directed films I've ever seen. It's like when Spielberg made The Terminal. When you watch that, no one thinks of it as a Spielberg movie. That's a very underappreciated movie, and I could go on forever.
I need to see that one. I need to see that one.
It's great, dude. It's incredible. Like you watch that and you wouldn't think that Spielberg made it. You would think that some normal filmmaker made it. And you know, that might be a fault to some, but I think it's brilliant. Bringing Out the Dead, another Nicolas Cage movie. This was actually directed by Martin Scorsese. So this is another film from a director that you wouldn't think that they would direct. But when you think about it, when you have Martin Scorsese and Paul Schrader, who wrote the script, you know, he had written Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. He directed my favorite film of 2018, First Reformed. When you think about it, like, that combination, it only makes sense that Nicolas Cage is the guy to star in this movie. It's about a paramedic who has like severe insomnia. He's a very fucked up guy, and he starts seeing visions of the people that he either saved or he failed to save. And that's absolutely terrifying.
That sounds crazy.
And it's very depressing, but it features a song by REM, and I'm very happy about that because
love him.
Yes.
I gotta check that out. I gotta check that one out. What's it called? It's directed by Scorsese, you said?
It's called Bringing Out the Dead.
Okay, Bringing Out the Dead. I gotta check
It's
that out.
I believe it's on Prime. That's where I
Oh,
watched it.
nice. Okay, cool.
So it's on Prime and everything. In terms of other first time watches, Memories of Murder, which was one of Bong
Ooh.
Joon-ho's earliest
I
films.
remember we were
Very,
talking
very
about that
good.
last time we were talking. You were saying that you were about to see it or you were going to see it soon. So I'm glad to hear that
Yes.
you loved it.
Yeah, I rented it. Me and my friend watched it, and as soon as Song Kang-ho just literally jumped out of the air and just jumped kicked someone, I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, man. South
No,
Korean, they
it's
know how to do it, man.
oh, they do, they do. No, it's an absolutely terrifying film. It's very, very fascinating, and the fact that it's you know, maybe based on a true story. That's insane to believe.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Bong Joon-ho's Zodiac, and it's absolutely riveting.
I seen that a lot, that comparison.
They just announced a few days ago that's coming to the Criterion
I
Collection, which
saw
I'm very
that.
happy about.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
very excited. That's definitely going to be a day one Criterion buy for me. I'm very excited to get that. That's definitely one of the best first time watches I did in 2020 for sure.
I like
Uh,
that, man.
yeah, absolutely. Devil's Backbone, Guillermo del Toro, another really great film. It's very sad, but it's also very deep and elegant. And, a gothic horror war drama.
Ooh,
Who
which I
would have
love.
thought that anyone else, like Guillermo's the perfect person to make it.
Honestly, when
So,
you said the genre, I've never seen this film, but right when you said the genre, I went, wow, I could just vision what this
no, it's
movie is.
it's incredible. It's absolutely breathtaking. It's beautiful. It's very deep and metaphorical.
Wow.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Absolutely incredible. Going through other first time watches that I had done in 2020 that aren't 2020
Let me ask you this.
releases.
Let me ask you this. I
Yeah.
just last night actually saw The Wailing for the first time, and I saw your
Oh,
review for it. Did you see that last year or prior?
I did see that last year. That was
Okay,
really good. That was great.
let's briefly touch on that
Sure.
because, dude, man, talk about cinema and South Korea again. I mean, dude.
South Korean horror, absolutely brilliant.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so anyone that is new to the horror genre that wants to still get really scared, I would say this is a really good movie to start with. Or if you're just learning about like interested in international films or foreign films, this is a really good one to go see. Cause man, I mean, you and I watch tons of movies, but I was still shocked and at the edge of my seat for so much of it. And by the time it ended, I went, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this is what this movie is. It's
No,
insane.
it just kept getting so effed up as it was going, and
Oh
then it
yeah.
stopped for a while, and then you thought, okay, everything's probably gonna be fine, even though in reality it's not gonna be fine, and then it just keeps going, and then
Yeah.
the last 30 minutes happen, and I shit you not, I'm like, what in the living fuck?
The
And I
last
was
30
so
minutes
riveted.
just made me curl up in a ball. I mean, I watched this at 2 a.m, bro, and I was in a
Oh my
ball
god.
all by myself in my game room, just watching this movie, just in
Oh my
shock and awe
god.
and and what is amazing about it too is it's 2.5 hours or around that length, and
Yeah, it's a
and
long one, guys.
yeah, it's a long one, but it and you could feel the length. I would be a lie to say that you can't,
Oh
but
no, yeah, that's definitely my only flaw with it. You can feel the length
yeah,
of
you
it.
could feel the length. But then by the end of it, it still felt so intentional with so much of it. And when you start to piece everything together that you've seen throughout the film, and in a way, I mean, beyond it being from South Korea, it reminds me of Parasite in a lot of ways. Into how it balances tones so well, because there's in the first like third of the movie there's so many funny moments, like little just subtle funny moments from our lead, and then it just takes like this crazy dark turn. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it to anybody that is interested in pursuing foreign film, along with all the movies that Brian's mentioned. This guy has exquisite taste, so I would definitely I'm definitely gonna check out that Martin Scorsese and Nicolas Cage flick if it's on
Oh,
Prime, dude.
you should. It's so good.
Yeah, man.
It's very good. No, I mean like yeah, the whale was definitely interesting because my friend, um, he had recommended it to me. My friend from home who was like obsessed with horror and everything. Um, and when he described the movie, when he tried to describe it, I said, no. Don't tell me what this film's about. I'll watch it blind.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you want to watch it tonight? And I said, yeah, let's watch it tonight. And I was not prepared at all for
Dude,
what it was going to be. I knew it was going to be, I knew it was going to be fucked up, but not to the extent that it was.
Oh
I was
no.
absolutely
And
shocked.
it's crazy too, because the film kind of toys with you in a way by when the horror element of the film is first kind of introduced, it's kind of like in a tongue-in-cheek kind of fashion for the first bit of the film. And when it's slowly you start to understand more and more of what's going on, it just becomes more and more nefarious, and just like you question everyone's motives, you question everything, and just, you know, there's so much I could say about this movie. I might have to do like a full video on it maybe in the future, but I would definitely say go check it out. And I think this is a good segue into our next topic that I want to talk about is streaming, man. Now that with the pandemic and with quarantine and whatnot, we've entered a time where, I mean, HBO is now just going full out, and so is Netflix, full force with the streaming. They're putting so many big movies onto streaming. So this question is twofold. One, and we'll start here, is what are you looking forward to in streaming this next year?
Oh man, there's so many to talk about. Well, when it comes to Netflix first, I mean, I'm very excited for it's coming out very soon. Malcolm and Marie, very excited to
Ooh,
see that.
yeah,
Very
man.
excited to see
Absolutely.
it. John David, Zendaya Licious. I'm very very hyped to watch it. It looks incredible. The story behind the making of it is what really interests me, because you could watch the trailer and like think to yourself, oh, this looks like, it just looks like, a simple romantic drama
Oh
and
yeah.
everything. But like, if you're not, someone that follows the news and you don't know the story behind the making of it, the fact that they shot this movie in secret during
Crazy.
COVID, I mean, that's insane. And, it's from the guy who's the creator of Euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
And, they had to shut down production on season 2 when everything got shut down. Zendaya's like, why don't we just make a movie during this time until, we know when we could go back to filming. And then they made this movie in just under 2 weeks. It was a small crew. It was a 4-week period. Like, everyone quarantined and everything. Then they made the movie. They filmed in this big house in the middle of nowhere, I think right outside LA. And yeah, I mean, it looks incredible. It looks gorgeous. The reviews that have come out for it so far from critics,
Mm-hmm.
they're all really
Stellar, yeah.
praising it. They're all saying that Zendaya could be nominated for an Oscar, and that's
Which would be
incredible.
incredible, yeah.
Because I mean, if that happens, I'm gonna be like, wow, I did not expect the girl from Shake It Up,
That's exactly what I
Shake
was
It
just
Off,
thinking.
whatever,
Yeah.
to be an Oscar nominee. So,
Which is
I mean, that's
awesome. Which is
no,
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
she's very talented, and John David's incredible too. I mean, sounds just like his father. It's uncanny, and yeah, I'm very excited to see that one. I would have to think of like other ones that are coming to
Oh,
Netflix on
absolutely.
top
I
of
mean,
my
I could
head.
toss one out from Netflix that I'm super looking forward to, called I Care a Lot, and it stars Rosamund Pike. And
Yes, I heard
dude,
about that one. I haven't seen the trailer for it because I want to go into it blind. But
I
yeah, the
I
cast
would
behind it.
recommend going into it blind. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
the
did see
cat.
the trailer, and you know, it looks stellar, but I wish I didn't, because you know it reveals a little bit. But man, I don't want to say too much either. But I just love her for ever since Gone Girl. I mean, she's always been in supporting roles in many films. I mean, she was in Doom, I believe, the
Yeah.
first Doom movie with
No,
Carl Urban and The Rock.
she's great. Yeah, Gone Girl, The World's End. She was in that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's a performance from her that not many people ever bring up. Really,
that's a movie that not many people ever bring up to begin with.
this is also true. Edgar Wright's
Uh,
probably most underrated movie, I would say. Really great film.
yeah, I would say so too. Yeah, I would absolutely say so too. I
Yeah,
mean, in terms
we
of
could go on
other
a whole tangent about that, but
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, in terms of other Netflix stuff, Guillermo del Toro has his Pinocchio movie coming out this year on Netflix. Stop motion, which is exciting, and the cast behind it is
Absolutely.
incredible. Zack Snyder has a new film coming out, Army of the Dead, which sounds awesome. Fun fact: it was actually shot here in Jersey, which is
Oh,
really really cool.
really?
Yeah, part of it was shot here in Atlantic City.
Awesome.
So that's pretty exciting. I actually one of my friends that I went to school with, he got to be a PA on that, so it's
That's
gonna be cool to
awesome.
see his name
His
in the
name,
credits.
yeah, dude,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'm gonna be like, oh, what a bitch. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We hope the movie is a success for
Yeah,
Brian's
we
friend,
do.
man. We want it to be good.
We do for sure. In terms of the big one that Netflix has coming out this year, I would say the one I'm most excited for is Don't Look Up, which is Adam McKay's newest film, which is
Yep.
currently filming right now as we speak. Because about a week or two ago, Netflix released this big trailer saying that they're gonna have
Mhm.
one new film come out every single week, and I'm like,
Which is
Jesus
insane.
Christ, that's
Which
insane.
is insane.
That means that's at least 52 films because there's 52 weeks in the year,
Minimum.
so
Yep.
that's insane. But yeah,
Yep.
Don't Look Up is a political satire disaster comedy, so it might be very relevant to what's going on in the world right now.
And that
But
talk about cast. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the two leads of that
hell.
movie.
Oh yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio and J Law. I mean, oh my God,
Yeah.
what a pairing! Truly, like fantastic pairing. And then everyone else. I mean, I have the whole cast list pulled up right now. So
Dude,
I
tell
mean,
me. I don't even know who else is in it besides them. I'm sold already.
All right. So we have Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence
Amazing.
headline the film, and then we have Kate Blanchett.
Oh, what?
We have Meryl Streep. Get ready. Meryl Streep playing the role that she's always been born to play, the president. She's playing the president of the United States, which is great.
That is the perfect role.
And then her son is played by Jonah Hill. So,
oh my goodness, this cast is insane. I didn't even know all this.
Yes,
man.
And then the rest of the actors that we have include as follows. Kate Blanchett, as I said. We have Timothy Chalamet. Very hyped.
What?
About that.
This is insane.
Timothy Chalamet. We have Ron Perlman's going to be in this.
Oh my!
Chris Evans is going to be in this. Tyler Perry's going to be in this.
What in the world? This is insane.
Fucking Kid Cudi is going to be in this.
And then that's the exclamation mark of it all. Really?
No. Wait. I'll tell you when the exclamation mark.
If you're going to say something that's more exciting than that, I'm going to be shocked right now. But I can't
I will.
It, my friend.
There's just a few more people I have to say before we get into the last one of them all. So Ariana Grande, I'm not that excited about her casting, but her being in it.
That's also crazy that she's in
has
it,
my
though.
interest for sure.
Yeah.
Himesh Patel, who was just in Tenet, very talented actor, and then the best one of them all. And when I saw this name, I'm like, what the living fuck? Fucking Matthew Perry, Chandler Bing.
Chandler Bong, dude. That's awesome. What a surprise.
Bing. Yeah, as soon as he comes on screen, oh my God, Chandler Bing.
Instant Chandler just being a little meme for the rest of his life.
I love it.
Wow, that's insane, dude. I did not know that cast was that stacked. Now I'm even more excited. Wow, that's also my most anticipated.
I'm so hyped. Yeah, and the fact is the story is just so interesting. It's like Don't Look Up tells the story of two low-level astronomers who must go on the giant media tour to warn mankind of approaching comet that will destroy Earth.
And that tagline alone is just brilliant. I mean, that's sold.
Insane. I love it so much.
How about on the HBO spectrum? Is there anything that, I mean, obviously the biggest one that people are talking about is Justice League, which is the conversation for that has never ended.
No, I mean, especially now with what's going on with what Ray Fisher has spoken about. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely. I am very interested in seeing how the Snyder Cut plays out. I'm gonna be up front right now. I actually have never seen the theatrical cut of Justice League. That's the one big superhero movie. That's the one big superhero movie within the past 10 years that I did not see in theaters.
Good.
And I think
it's brutal, man.
Here's the thing. It came out at a not so great time because I was so busy with school. And I'm like, I can't miss Justice League. I have to see this just to, see it and everything. Mm-hmm. And then I heard all the reviews about it. Then I heard all the controversy about it. And I'm like, I'll wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. It's been almost 4 years at this point. I still haven't seen it. I'm too lazy to do it.
Let me tell you something. That movie's so rough.
No, I've heard, and I do need to see it though before.
Oh, you must.
Before the Snyder Cut comes out, just so I could be like, well, the theatrical cut is worse than the Snyder Cut.
Oh yeah, you have to at least be able to say it concretely, man.
Absolutely.
Who knows? That's a scary thought. Could you imagine?
Oh no,
that Snyder's is worse.
Listen, if that happens, Snyder can't work again. Army of the Dead needs to be tossed away.
It would be harder for him to make a movie that was worse than that movie.
No, I agree, and it's sad when you think about the whole thing that happened.
Oh, it's terrible.
And how studios get in the way of ruining everything. But I mean, in terms of everything else coming out to HBO Max. I mean, the fact that Warner Brothers is releasing all their films, in theaters and on HBO Max, which I think is honestly, I think that's a very smart thing to do.
I agree.
With what's going on in the world right now, we don't know when it's going to be 100% safe to go back to the theaters. I've gone back to the theater every so often. I haven't gone back a crap ton because, there has been a lot that's been out, but I've gone back every so often and everything. But some of these movies, I mean, obviously, as much as I want to support the theatrical experience, some of these movies I'm totally fine with watching in the comfort of my home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I can tell you that, like Tom and Jerry, do I need to see that on the big screen? No, I can watch that at home.
Yeah.
Even though I have AMC A-list and I could see things for free, I could watch that at home. It's really not, something that I need to watch on the big screen. Like Wonder Woman, I wanted to see it on the big screen because, you know, that's a big screen movie.
Oh,
I knew
yeah.
that if I watched it at home, it wasn't going to be the same. But, yeah, I mean, like, Judas and the Black Messiah looks incredible.
Oh man, I
I'm
cannot wait
very
to see
excited
that
to see
film.
that.
Yeah,
Looks
man.
so good. Very excited to see. I'm really curious for Matrix 4. I don't even know how that's gonna
Dude,
work.
I am shocked that is still even happening. That it even began filming blows my mind because
I know it had just started filming and then COVID happened.
Yep.
It's wild, honestly. It
the
really.
yeah, man. I mean, first of all, COVID has just messed up the filming of every big movie that was supposed to come, either the filming or the release of every big movie that's supposed to be coming out in this past year now.
Absolutely.
Including movies like Wonder Woman. And you know what movie I didn't even know existed until this whole HBO streaming fiasco began, is The Little Things, which I think that's what the title is, and it comes out this month with Denzel, right, and Jared Leto and Rami Malek.
Yeah, 3 Oscar winners. Like, that's insane.
You know, it's coming out in January, but you know, who knows? It could be fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that film too. Like, I remember hearing about it a while back, but then I forgot that it was even a thing. And then I saw the trailer and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. And like, then I looked up like who directed that. And it's the weirdest thing. John Lee Hancock directed it. I don't know if you know who that is on top of your head.
I don't,
like,
off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I'll tell you some of the stuff that he's done.
Okay, please. This is gonna be another initial reaction, mind-blowing moment. I can't believe
we have The Blind Side. We have
what?
We have Saving Mr. Banks. And The Founder.
That is so interesting. That is so interesting, considering this new movie is like a serial killer, mystery thriller.
It's literally
film.
a thrill. It's literally a thriller. And I mean, listen, when you go from making a movie about the making of Mary Poppins to going to do a crime thriller, I mean, hey, good for you.
That means you either have some talent or you have a bad idea for you.
Exactly. It's like the fact that everyone's like, oh, I didn't know the Russo brothers had him in it to direct a different movie, because now they're directing Cherry. Cherry. Yeah. Cherry looks interesting.
I was going to say that as well. That's actually one of the movies I wanted to talk about, where it's like, I'm excited to watch it, but it's also on this. I mean, did the Russo? They didn't direct 21 Bridges, did they? They just produced it.
No, they just produced it.
So yeah, I haven't really seen much else from them other than, you know, I mean, they did You, Me, and Dupree though. I believe that is true.
They did do that.
See, I've seen that film. So I mean, I've seen that film, and obviously the Avengers films that they've done.
Yeah,
it's just hard to imagine. Tom Holland's a great actor, but
he is good. he is good, and I'm excited to see him do this role. I mean, it comes out in theaters at the end of February, and I would like to see it on the big screen. It comes to Apple on my birthday, so listen. My thing is, like, there's usually never a good movie that comes out during my birthday or around my birthday.
Bro. I got a January birthday, man. It's
oh God, that sucks. No, see, that's the worst. That's the worst for sure. Because last year my birthday movie was supposed to be, or it was supposed to come out the week after, was A Quiet Place.
Oh, that would be sick.
And then COVID had to ruin everything. But yeah, Cherry. It's okay. But Cherry, I'm interested in it, and I'm excited to see Tom Holland in this role and to see the Russo brothers do something completely out of left field. But I don't know. I mean, I have to see more from it.
Absolutely.
I have to wait a little while to see things. But I mean, what shocked me the most, and I don't know if you ever watched this show, the fact that the girl in Cherry is the sister from Big Time Rush made me blew my mind.
That's her. That's Kendall's sister from Big Time Rush?
Yeah.
That is insane. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, that blew my mind, because I saw her face and I'm like, this girl looks so fucking familiar. And then it's her, and I'm like, wait a minute, is she actually like 22? That's insane.
Yo, man, the people that we grew up with are just all.
It's insane. It's an
insane thing to witness.
Listen, I have a soft spot for Big Time Rush. I listen.
Oh, dude, Big Time Rush is awesome, dude.
No, they are awesome. The show itself was whatever, but the music.
They got some bops, man. They got some bops, and they were a real band.
They really. I agree. I want a reunion. To happen. Let's make it happen, even if it's over Zoom. I just make it happen.
By all means, I would love to be a witness to this. So if anybody wants to make that happen for us too, then yeah, please give us the Big Time Rush reunion, please.
Definitely. Are there any other things in particular that stand out to you when it comes to like HBO Max? Because like they
Mm,
just released the Godzilla versus Kong poster today. Honestly, I'm
yeah.
not really that excited for that.
It's tough because I loved Godzilla,
I did
the
too. I
2014.
I
Loved
also really
it.
liked it. I
Yeah.
did too.
And then Kong, I really liked. I wouldn't say I loved it per se, but I really liked it.
Nah, I thought it was okay. It was all
Okay.
right. It
Okay.
was all right.
And then we went to Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I
Which
really did not
sucked.
like at
Sucked.
all.
So boring. So
Listen, man,
boring.
I think you and I are in the minority for this. So let's take a second to dissect this. Bro, this movie was the only movie that I saw in theaters that year where I almost walked out, where I was just like, I don't think
Oh no, no, no,
I
no.
could
See,
handle this.
no, see, like I was able to sit through it, but what sucks is that I'm like, all right, the movie we'll see next week because I would go with my friends every Thursday night during that summer to
Mhm.
see like the new release movie, and we could have seen Rocket Man that night, but everyone's like, no,
Ooh.
let's go see Godzilla, and I'm like, yeah, let's go see Godzilla, okay, because it was getting decent reviews, so I'm like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
maybe it's
dude, it
not.
has pretty all right reviews for
So I'm like,
sure.
oh, I'm sure it's not bad. And then it looked awesome. And then I saw it and I'm like, well, it was the opposite of awesome.
Yeah.
And then I saw a movie that, you said like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Dark Phoenix.
Oh.
Which that was worse than Godzilla in my opinion.
Hey, I don't blame you for feeling that
Not
way,
much
man.
worse, but it was worse.
Yo, yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that way, but Godzilla, man, like, I just remember thinking to myself that the writing of it just shocked me. Like, I just could not believe that, like, character motivations just flip out of nowhere, back and forth, back and forth. And, like, a lot of people are saying, the monster action is great and all. And it is when it's
It
in the
is.
movie, the very brief moments it's in the movie, you know what I mean? And it is an increase over the
Yeah.
last two. But that thing never really bothered me. The lack of monster fighting in the first two movies never really bothered me.
Yeah,
So,
I just wasn't excited. And this Godzilla versus Kong, I really don't know how it's gonna play out. Am I
oh
gonna
yeah,
watch it?
no,
Absolutely. Do I
oh
want to see
yeah,
this in theaters? Yes, I do. But
hmm
at the same time, it's like I'm not as excited for that as I am for like other blockbusters coming out. Like I'm really excited for In the Heights. I cannot wait to see that.
yeah, man.
I'm very excited for Space Jam 2. I cannot wait for
Oh,
when they release
dude,
the trailer for that. I'm
Space
very
Jam
excited
2
for
is
that.
gonna be one of the greatest films of all time.
I wholeheartedly believe so. Like,
It's
listen,
gonna be
this movie's
brilliant.
been like 25 years in the making, and now that it's happening, I'm very, very
They had to
hyped.
wait for LeBron to bring the ring to LA before they could really get that movie
Literally,
greenlit.
literally. I mean, listen, and I've kind of wanted to see LeBron do more active because
Oh,
I thought
dude,
his part in
yeah.
Trainwreck was really funny. I thought he was
As did
really funny in
I.
that.
Yeah, him and John Cena both were just amazing in that film.
He's like, "Oh, why don't you come to Cleveland?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm busy with work, but you come and visit me in Miami." Well, that's Miami, so.
So
Oh,
many
that's
good.
great.
Dude, I was literally just talking about that movie today. That movie is underrated one as well. That I
It,
really
it really it
enjoyed.
really is an underrated gem for sure. I mean, Judd Apatow, I believe, has a film coming out this year or next year on HBO Max.
Mhm.
I'm not entirely sure on the top of my head. The Suicide Squad, very excited to see
Of
that.
course, yeah.
Very excited. Definitely, probably the superhero film I'm excited for the most this year. I would say. I don't know. It's really tough. I'm really am looking forward to that one a lot.
Mhm.
The Many Saints of Newark, very hyped for this one, and
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of people really don't know anything about this one because this is actually a prequel movie to
which
The
is
Sopranos,
insane.
which is the most New Jersey thing that has ever been created ever. So if you're a New Jersey citizen, you're kind of obligated to watch The Sopranos,
Mhm.
and the Newark riots when they happened, that was a really big thing that happened here in Jersey. And I think it's really cool that they're making this movie because, it's going to be focusing on Christopher's father. And we never really saw him in the show. And then we're
Mhm.
going to see Tony's father, who we saw a few glimpses of throughout the show. And I mean, who better than John Bernthal to play
Which
Johnny
is
Soprano? That's a
awesome
great casting. And
casting.
then, and
Yeah.
then, Livia Soprano, Tony's mom, is going to be played by Vera Farmiga, who
Oh,
is
I didn't know that.
incredible.
I didn't know that. That's
Uh,
awesome too.
like I'm very excited. And then
Mm.
Tony Soprano is going to be played by James Gandolfini's son, which I'm a bit
Oh, cool.
worried about. But I mean, after seeing that some castings work, I mean, well, we could go back to like how when Straight Outta Compton came out, I'm sure everyone was worried about Ice Cube's son
Oh
playing
yeah.
him, and then he turned in an incredible performance.
And he's one of my new
And
favorite actors, actually. O'Shea Jackson. He's great,
he
man.
he he is great. He's fantastic. So I'm very excited to see what Michael Gandolfini brings to the role of Tony Soprano. I'm very excited for this one. And this was supposed to come out on March 12th in theaters and on
I'm
HBO Max,
sorry.
but then they
Oh,
insisted on pushing it back to September. But
you
they
just want to
say
take
it's
it all
because
away,
of
man.
awards and everything. So I mean, listen, if they're pushing
Hey,
it back for that, then that
yep.
means that this film is good. That's good
So
enough for
we're
me.
gonna cross our fingers and hope for the best, man. That's what it's like with all these movies. It's like
Absolutely.
without,
Dune,
Dune,
we need
man.
Dune to be good. We need that to
And we
be
need
good
Dune in
too.
theaters, if I could say
We
that
do.
myself.
We do.
I would love Dune in
Timothy
theaters.
Chalamet, so beautiful.
Another stud,
He's
man.
he's so beautiful. That's why he played the beautiful boy in Beautiful Boy.
It's true, and he will forever be one of the most beautiful boys, man. We love Charlamagne
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. Yeah, Matrix, I mean, who knows how that's gonna go. Elvis. I don't know if you know much about this Elvis movie with Tom Hanks. I'm kind of mixed on
Uh-huh.
it, but because Tom Hanks is in it, I'm like, that kind of
Hey,
gives me
yeah, I'll
more
watch anything with
excitement.
Mr. Tom.
Of
Love
course,
him.
Mr. T. Hanks. Good
Yep.
old thanks.
The boy. The
Oh
boy.
man. Yeah, I mean,
It's gonna be a
yeah,
crazy year, dude. There's just,
it
I mean, there's
is.
so much, and it's gonna make our jobs a lot tougher too, with everything coming to streaming. We're pretty much, expected to see everything at that point. So it's gonna be,
Yeah,
some
definitely.
gruelers for sure, some movies that aren't gonna be the best. But hey, we're here for it. I'm excited for 2021, man. And this kind of leads into, us closing out here. I gotta ask you, what are 3 things that you want to accomplish this year, whether it's personally, whether it's related to your channel? What are they, man?
All right, first things first, get a job where I can use my degree. That's the first
Absolutely.
thing. That's the first thing. Number two is continue being healthy because I will admit that COVID definitely had me gain some weight.
It's hard, dude.
Depression.
Yeah,
It
man.
was so fun, just so fun.
That's
But
hard.
I just want to continue losing the weight and everything. And then the third thing is, you know, it may not be the third top goal or anything, but just keep watching films that I haven't seen because I
Mhm.
love rewatching some of these films and everything, but I do want to continue expanding and watching a lot of films that I hadn't seen before. A lot of older films, some films on the Criterion Collection, a
Mhm.
lot of gems, animated gems. I want to get more into foreign cinema as well,
I've been trying to do
and
that. Yeah, man. It's
yeah,
tough.
I'm trying to as well. Parasite definitely like really got me obsessed
Yeah.
with it. Like seeing that Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Pain and Glory all at the same
Woo,
film
3
festival. Like
brilliant movies.
I agree, 3 incredible films. I'm like, yeah, I really gotta watch more foreign cinema, and yeah, that's definitely a big goal for me.
Okay,
Just
man.
watch more films that I haven't seen.
And another follow-up question to that is, what are things that you would recommend to people that are just trying to get into watching movies, that they just started liking movies recently, things that they should watch perhaps, or where they should start?
All right. Well. First things first. You must watch Catch Me If You Can if you haven't seen it.
Amazing
That's
movie.
that's a masterpiece. It's one of the best films that Spielberg has done. It's my top 5 favorite film. Like it's in my top 5 favorite films
Yeah,
ever.
it's a really good movie, man.
Masterpiece. Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, Spielberg. True story. Set in the '60s. Hilarious. Heartfelt, heartbreaking, and you know what? It has one of the best fake Boston accents you'll ever hear in your life. So you must watch it for Tom Hanks and his beautiful, flat out beautiful fake Boston accent, where
Yeah,
he
man.
always eats food a lot too. So you
It's a
gotta
really
do
good
that.
movie.
One that I know isn't big towards everyone, but Garden State is one that I
I
highly
just
recommend
saw
as
that for
well.
the first time, man. I
Mm,
just saw that for the
mm,
first time, my friend.
That top 5 films as well. Set in New Jersey. I may be biased towards it just a little bit, but
Mhm.
um, very excellent directorial debut. If you're curious to see actors direct, this is a very good directorial debut in my opinion. Zach Braff directed this. He was in the midst of Scrubs when he made this movie, and it's a very personal story. It's very touching, very moving. Great soundtrack, wonderful
The
soundtrack. One of the
soundtrack
best
is
soundtracks in film. Yeah,
amazing.
the Shins, Coldplay, Simon and Garfunkel, like a whole
Yeah.
mix of wonderful artists throughout the film. And then I would say, this may be a basic answer, but I mean, if you're just getting to film and you haven't seen Back to the Future, You gotta
You
do
must.
that.
Yeah,
You
man.
must. It's
You
one of the
must.
greats. It's one of the greats.
And you couldn't have picked. Those are three brilliant films and three very accessible films and fun films to watch. And that's just it right there.
Yeah,
Those are three
they're
amazing
all
movies.
very
So
feel good in their own way. They're not any depressing movies or
yeah.
anything. So, right now we need feel good movies. Yeah,
Oh
if
yeah,
you want to
man. We
watch
need it.
depressing stuff, totally fine. But focus on the feel good stuff.
Yeah, man. We need less of the wailings. They're great and all, but we
Oh,
need to take it back a notch.
yeah. No unhinged, no
No.
wailing, just feel good stuff.
Yeah, man. And hey, man, I hope you had a blast. I did, man. This
I
has been
did. Thank you
such a
for having
joy.
me.
This has been an absolute treat, guys. And Bryan, man, where could people find you? Where are you gonna be this year? Things that people should look out for coming from you soon.
All right, so you guys can follow me on Twitter at Bryan Sudfield. You guys can follow me on Letterboxd, where I'm actively, logging in movies and everything. Letterboxd, my Letterboxd is gonna be. Oh my God, I forgot my Letterboxd name on top of my head. Shit. Bryan_Sudfield. I guess because Bryan Sudfield was taken. I don't know how or why, but
It always is like that.
There's probably another Bryan Sudfield out there somewhere. But and then YouTube, youtube.com/Bryan Sudfield. If you guys want to see my top 10 films of 2020, go check that out. And then I have a podcast, Film Fragments. It's available to stream everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, the works. You can find it anywhere. Currently on a hiatus right now. We'll hopefully be coming back within the next month or two. Love doing that show. And Mike, seriously, man, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time
Always,
on
brother.
here.
Always, brother. And you know what? I want to make this announcement now. We would love to have you back to talk about Garden State one day because it's a film
Oh, yes.
that I liked. I did not love it my first time, but I
right.
immediately thought that I needed to rewatch it once more.
You do.
I knew that I would appreciate it more if I watched it once more. And I know that the next time I watch it, I want to talk to you about it afterwards. It's one of your favorites.
Absolutely.
We're definitely going to plan that out soon, man. Thanks for coming on. It was an absolute joy to get to know you a little bit more and get to know your taste in film a little bit more. And that's what we're here for this year, guys. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you're listening, obviously I'm Michael Chu. You can find me here. You can find me at Twitter, Michael Chu for real. I am not super active on Facebook, so I'm probably not going to continue plugging that anymore, but Letterboxd as well at Michael Chu. And yeah, man, we're just going to keep trying to watch movies, keep trying to do this show consistently. This is the year. I know, Bryan and I talked about this. We want to do, bigger things this year. We want to continue to grow these channels up, our community is up, so we can get to talk to you guys more about film. So thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much. Have a good